Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable, the Boston Celtics, Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable. Oh yeah! Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable, the Boston Celtics, Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable. Banana 19.
Beat Rob, Jim, Pekka, Jake King.
Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Steel Poddable, Steel Poddable. Oh yeah! Shut your ass up,
Your daddy's always halfway there.
Welcome back to Steel Poddable, the best Celtics podcast here on Al Gore's Internet. I am Sam J.M. Packard, joined, we don't see him, but the mighty voice in the sky from the 9th floor of the TD Garden, Sean Gauthier. And we are coming to you live after the Celtics lose the opening game of the season to the 76ers, 117-116. And just a kind of bizarre game, wild first half that was kind of mixed. Hey, there you go, Sean. How's it going?
How's it going, Packard?
It would have been better if the Celtics didn't choke away what was like I think a 7-point lead in the final 2 minutes. And this was the kind of the issue I thought I was concerned about with this team, as I thought they were going to be in a lot of games, but I thought their offense down the stretch was going to be an issue for them. And I actually thought they did a pretty decent job of generating open looks, but like they just didn't knock them down. Jalen had a chance to, I think Ty got a decent look and just kind of short-armed it. Xavier Tillman got the offensive rebound and he went back up with it and he just kind of short-armed it. Peyton Pritchard had two, I would say, bad looks down the stretch to try to go for the win. So I thought the 76ers did a good job of denying the ball to Jalen. I think there's a lot of good things you can take away from this game, but I think that clutch execution, especially late, is going to be something that plagues this team as they move forward, just because I just don't know if they have the guys right now.
Yeah, and like you said, it was like Pritchard and Jalen trying to like make something happen late in the game, needing a bucket. But like, yeah, once it got into crunch time, there's like all the trust in the younger guys was gone. All the trust in the new guys was gone. And it was like, nope, one of us is taking a shot. And maybe, I feel like we saw some decent ball movement from Jalen like really early on in this game. And then that kind of went away as the game went on. And so could have been a moment where we could have loved to see some playmaker Jalen in those moments, like late in the game.
Yeah, he had 4 assists in like what felt like the first quarter and then finished the game with 4 assists. There was a lot of opportunities where I thought he was generating some good looks, getting to the basket and just kind of like spraying the ball out to the perimeter. Celtics did not shoot well from 3 tonight, 11 of 43. They did win the kind of some of the margins. They got more shots than the 76ers. They won the turnover battle. They gave up a bunch of free throws in the first half and actually really calmed that down in the second half. And I thought they did a great job just kind of bouncing back and generating points in the third quarter. I think a big moment in this game, and I'm shocked to be admitting this and saying this right now, Nehemias Queta picking up his 6th foul, I feel like really changed the offense because I thought they were doing a good job of just using him as a screener and using him to put pressure on the rim. And when he fouled out, they kind of lost that element completely from their offense. And so I thought Nemi had a pretty solid performance in the starter role. And like once felt like the rotation kind of settled down in the second half, and there was Nemi playing with kind of what I have now dubbed the core 4 of Pritchard, White, Brown, and then Anthony Simons. Like I thought they actually had some good looks. They were kind of getting to some consistent offense. But then Nemi fouling out, Xavier Tillman just doesn't provide that same pressure on the rim. And so I thought like once Nemi fouled out with like 2 minutes left, they didn't really get a great look after that.
Yeah, I was feeling the same way. Like early on, I was taking notes and I was like, oh, wow, like this game, are the Celtics living and dying by Nehemias Queta's gameplay right now? Like it seemed a bit like or whether he was successful or not was kind of determining whether the team was about to be successful or not at times. And yeah, especially like you said, late in the game, like once he picked up that sixth, I kind of like bowed my head, and I honestly kind of felt like it was over, which is insane because it's Nimi. But he played really well tonight.
Yeah,
minus all the fouling.
Yeah, and I think him fouling out is going to be a major concern for him for the entire season, just because that's always something that Neemias Queta has struggled with. I think 2 of the fouls were kind of like classic bullshit Nimi fouls, and obviously you just want to stick away. Like that's part of, I guess, the learning process. The other part of the issue is that like not whether the bigs really stepped up tonight and was like demanding that starting spot. I think we got like 15 minutes apiece from Tillman. Boucher played, he was fine. Luka Garza got smacked in the face and he got knocked out of the game. And so they don't really have a lot of other options. And so is this just the story of the Celtics season this year, where it's just like, if Nimi has a good game, they're going to be in this game. But if Nimi somehow messes up, then they're absolutely screwed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what else we get from Tillman. Like, he obviously, the Still Poddable chat was blowing up. Tillman owning Embiid. I feel like this was obviously a hospital Embiid game, and he was terrible. Just
Embiid didn't play. Embiid did not play in this game. He technically played 20 minutes, but he 4 points, and it's just like clearly wasn't them. He forgot that he was 7 feet tall and just didn't go near the basket whatsoever. I do not count this as a Joel Embiid game. Like, this doesn't count as like actually playing against Embiid.
Yeah, so it's like I want to see what Tillman looks like. Is Tillman the greatest defender of all time this season, or was Embiid just awful? I guess we have to just like wait to see the next game.
Did Tillman do anything other than that one strip and then got the layup? Like, it's tough to tell.
Did he need to?
Yes, and they would have won the game if he needed to make that one shot. I think the big issue is that they didn't really put any sort of resistance to Tyrese Maxey, who had 40 points, and VJ Edgecombe. Talk about a fucking debut. I mean, 34 points for him. If he doesn't miss those 2 free throws at the end of the game to give the Celtics a chance, I feel like that's one of the best rookie debuts I've ever seen. And the Celtics just put up no resistance for either of those guys. I mean, Edgecombe got to the line 13 times. Maxey made 13 shots. Maxey was 7 of 9 from 3. And Edgecombe was 5 of 13 from 3. Like, I thought the Celtics, with their new kind of aggressive defense, just left a lot of open shooters for the 76ers. They only took 43s, but that's like kind of a larger number for them. But they shot 40% from 3. And I think like that's really where the game comes down to is the Celtics shoot 25% from 3. Sixers shoot 40% from 3. I mean, the Celtics tried to make it up, and they did a pretty solid job of scoring points in the second half. But if you're losing the 3-point battle like that, you're not going to win a lot of games in this league.
Yeah, I think it's a good point you brought up too about the aggressive defense leading to some wide open shots at the perimeter, because like there were moments where Derek White is rushing over and doubling Embiid, and it's leading to a bad pass. That wasn't really leading to that many turnovers, but it was like leaving a bad pass is leading to bad takes, things like that. But then other times it was like I would see Anthony Simons run in, and then his mark is just wide open for 3, and it's hitting it. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see kind of what they learn from this, and like how they'll balance out some of the aggression on defense with not just leaving guys wide open.
Yeah, and we didn't see like the true like what I was hoping for, like the true high flying chaos defense. No Ugo tonight, no Jordan Walsh, who I kind of like feel like 2 of those chaos agents. I think Jordan Walsh is still hurt. But yeah, it felt like they were just, anytime a Sixers player got into the paint, they were just like over helping and just like leaving some guys open. And so it just led to 3s. And it's like, yeah, if you're just relying on Nimi back there, or Tillman, or a kind of just a lesser big in terms of rim protection, I think you're more likely going to be panicking. And I don't know, what did you think about the bench tonight? I think it was a wild rotation early. I think Joe played 10 players within the first 9 minutes. I thought Minot had I mean, I'm a Minot man. I've always been a Minot man. I don't like the Redcoats, but he was solid. I thought he had a nice putback. He made some hustle plays, but he had 2 points, and so it's like not a stellar performance. Boucher apparently was fighting everyone, you said, and was like, I like his aggression, but it's not like he had a crazy stat line. He had 6 points, 4 boards. Like Garza got hurt. Like the bigs coming off the bench just really didn't contribute tonight, and so it could be a recipe for a long season if that just continues.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wasn't like massively impressed with anyone off the bench tonight. Anthony Simons can shoot.
He can hoop. The man can hoop. The man can score the buckets. That's what he does.
Have scored points. Yeah, defense. He was trying out there, but at least it looked like it from up here on the roof. But yeah, the no one really like massively stood out. It seemed like to me anyway.
And I think that's just like going to happen with this bench. I think Joe needs to avoid. There's some moments. I thought the rotation was a lot like tighter in the second half, and maybe that just helps with Garza getting hurt, and you're just like trying to figure out what's working here. But there was moments in the second quarter where they had non-Derek White, non-Jaylen Brown minutes, and they just got absolutely smoked. And so it feels like you have to stagger those guys. But yeah, the rotation really kind of slimmed down there, especially in the fourth quarter. It was basically you got a little bit of Tillman after Keita fouled out, but it was mostly just the starters and then Anthony Simons and then no one else. And so this is what it's going to be. I thought Derek White had a solid game. He was very aggressive, but the shots were not falling for him. What did he shoot from 3? But because it wasn't good, I think he was 4 of 13. Like I kind of like Derek White taking 13 threes, and expect him to hit more. But I don't know. This is what it's going to be. I thought Derek White was like appropriately aggressive. I thought Jaylen Brown got more aggressive in the fourth quarter. I thought Peyton Pritchard, he was only 1 of 7 from 3 tonight. He had a big one to kind of keep them in the game late. But you expect him to hit more shots. But I think this is all true of every Celtics team we've watched. But it's especially true of this team. If they shoot 25% from 3, it's going to be tough for them to win a lot of games this year.
Yeah, and I liked a lot of the offensive aggression, like you were talking about, from especially Pritchard and Derek White. Like I feel like we knew we were going to get that from Jaylen Brown. I was actually like looking for it more in the first half, but like saw what I was looking for from him. But there was just some moves, just like Pritchard just putting the moves on people, and even when, I mean, some of them led to some missed shots, so I deleted the clips off my phone. But like he was doing a good job out there, just like really creating space for himself. I did feel like during that when I think it was when Derek and Jaylen were not on the court, he was running pick and roll with Garza a lot, and it just seemed like, and Garza got pummeled and broke his face or something, but it seemed like Garza wasn't able to like really like be a big against some of the guys that were just battling through his screen. So it was like making it harder to get that separation. But I did enjoy watching Pritchard like run the show tonight, and I feel like there are good things to come with Pritchard running the show.
Yeah, I mean, I like the ball in Pritchard's hands. I like the ball in Derek White's hands. It feels like Nemi is the best screen setter out of the bunch, and so like I did like what they did in the pick and roll with Nemi, especially that kind of stretch he had down the stretch. Nemi finished with 17 points. 17 and 8 from Nemi, other than the 6 fouls. Like it was, look, hand up. I haven't been a Nemi guy for basically his entire tenure in Boston, but he's clearly the best big man that they have. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of what they do. I would have liked to see them actually play Joel Embiid, like a real version of Joel Embiid, because you get to see how they deal with a bigger center. I thought Nemi, the stretch that Nemi was doing well for was a stretch where the Sixers just went completely small themselves. And so they had no real answer to a legitimate 7-footer and throwing lobs up there. And so I'm curious how the Celtics are going to look against, a team with a traditional center. I think Mitchell Robinson did not play tonight for the Knicks, and so he might be out for when the Celtics play them on Friday. That will be interesting to see, but they still have Cat, and so they still have some size there. And so how the Celtics are going to kind of react to that. I think we went into this game talking a lot about what lineups we like and I didn't necessarily go and like there's a 5-man lineup that I thought was stellar. It was just like, oh, you're gonna need. It's generally better when you have both Jalen and Derek White on the court, and the moments when one of those guys is off the court, you're gonna have to just scrap and try to find a way to survive. And I don't know. We saw something tonight that was like, oh, this is something. At least I didn't identify immediately. This is something. And my big takeaway from this game is that things are different. It was like this is two mid basketball teams playing kind of shitty basketball. I was like, this feels different. Like there's just not the. Remember last year when they beat the Knicks by 45 and set the record for threes? Like that was on banner night. It's like this is a different season. I think it's going to be fun, but the quality is just not where it was.
Yeah, I feel like in watching them about midway through the game, I was like, oh, I just remember listening to you guys talking about what your expectations for the season, and I just kept hearing you in my head being like, they're gonna be a play-in team and get nothing in the draft, and that's kind of what this felt like. You said like a mediocre team. Like, do I see this team beating other teams? Yeah, for sure. They're gonna be fine, but you're right. Like that polish, that edge, that just being miles away, like better than everyone else is obviously nothing.
And that's the big concern. I think the big debate that was playing out on Celtics Twitter today was like, half the people were like, this team's going to be great and win 50 games, and other teams like this team needs to tank. And I think the scariest route is this team wins 42 games, and it's just, or 41, it's just 41 and 41. After night one, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm curious to see what Joe and the players say after this game. I'm curious to hear what B-Rob and Jay say for kind of their perspective, but it was mid. This is a mid team. Like it wasn't terrible. They were in the game. There's a lot of things that I thought a lot of individual players did well. They didn't slow down Maxey. They didn't slow down Edgecombe. Edgecombe's going to be a problem. But again, the 76ers are a mid team, especially if Joel Embiid just doesn't exist. And so this was just a mid off. This is that classic meme of like the two ugly women on Twitter describing, you know, that fun one where they're, I got to have the full meme if I'm going to bring that up. And I didn't have it. And first game of the season for me, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The two. All right. You guys shut up. Any other observations basketball related for this game before we move on?
I just like looking through my notes and just seeing Embiid looks fucking terrible just over and over. It's just every segment I have. That's all I've got.
I mean, he stayed off the floor. It was not a floor beat game. So I got to give him kudos for that. Yeah, I mean, we gave up some offensive rebounds in the first half, gave up some runs. I thought we talked about the Jalen playmaking. Sixers got a lot of free throws in the first half. They ended the first half on a 23-11 run, which really didn't help. But yeah, tough game. Peyton Pritchard, you would like Peyton Pritchard to get a better look. You just like to get a better look when you have two chances at it down the stretch, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So Celtics lose. They're 0-1, 117 to 116. Here's the issue. I was prepared to come with a full junk drawer of stuff, but I'm in Philadelphia. And so I had to watch the Philadelphia NBC Sports Philadelphia broadcast. And I didn't think it would be very relatable to take a bunch of junk notes on a broadcast that none of our listeners were also watching. And it was kind of just boring because they were showing a bunch of Sixers highlights. And so the one piece of junk that I have is that Jason Tatum looks like a banana.
I just loved zooming in on him from up here. Jason Tatum looked like there were moments where he looked so bored. Obviously, he's locked in. Obviously, he's bored out of his mind, and he really wants to be out there. And there was just like every time they'd call a timeout, he'd get up, he'd walk so far away from Joe, and then he would kind of just like hang out outside of the huddle. And you're right, he was in that bright color suit, so I could see him even from way up here, just like sitting around, like looking at the ceiling, just like looking around, bored out of his mind.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough for him because like he's sat out of games before, but like this, the way he knows he's really not going in the game, and so I hope he continues the fruit medley. Like I hope on Friday he looks like a strawberry, or dresses as some sort of produce. But that's all I got. Oh man, I missed that fight. And I wish.
All right, I've got
Philadelphia. Yeah. Oh, you got to tell me about the halftime performance.
Yeah, so gotta start with the halftime performance. I feel like in the time that we've done this show together, I've come to understand the kinds of things you like to see in a halftime show. And this was excellent. I did not catch this guy's name. I was busy trying to find a picture of Xavier Tillman with his children so that I could Photoshop Embiid's face over a child.
Classic.
Could not find a good picture.
You're doing your job.
Anyone
at
in the
halftime.
chat? Yeah, exactly. I was doing my job. But this dude was like, so they had like this little like a bar table, like with the skinny bottom and then the round top. And at first he was just like balancing on his hands on some blocks, and I was like, okay, whatever. But the tomfoolery escalated very quickly.
Nice.
He was like, there were like round things with bars on them. He's rolling around on those. He stood on like 7 or 8 skateboards at once. And he's like jumping up and standing on stacks of skateboards on a table above the ground.
So like a
dog gimmick,
an X Games version of the Amazing Sledek, like the Amazing Sledek, but more extreme. That's my shit.
I mean, he's also half, maybe a third of the Amazing Sledek's age. But he was doing good work out there, and there was no dog gimmick. And I hadn't seen it 100 times. I'm sure by the end of the year I will see it 100 times, and I'll be sick of it. But for now,
it's a strong opening for halftime. So shout out to that guy. It would be nice if you got his name so we could properly give him a shout out. But maybe he needs to work on his merch and his salesmanship.
Yeah. I got a little bit of other junk. Tillman at one point there was a play where he contested a shot, and I think he ended up getting the block on it or something like that. But then the ball goes up and doesn't quite go through the hoop from underneath, but it kind of like hits the net. And Tillman catches the ball and then stops to point to the ref to tell him it went through.
Yeah,
and you just see Joe is just like hands on his head, like transition. Like the whole team has made it down at this point, and Tillman's just sitting there pointing at it, upset.
Well, because it was confusing. It went through the bottom of the hoop and then kind of came back and like it looked like a made basket, but then it just wasn't. Joe loved the yelling at them in transition. At the end of the game, when they had that final chance, Jalen got the rebound, and Joe wanted them to go with 6 seconds left, and they called the timeout. But I thought that was interesting. As Joe was just like, no, just like fucking try something. And that probably would have, like, we should second guess Jalen for calling a timeout, because we always second guess Joe for not calling a timeout. They probably would have got a better look than what they got with the 2 Pritchard attempts. So
yeah, good point. My last bit of junk is just Nimi was taking some free throws, and there's just a guy. It sounded like it was from the balcony over here. It was pretty quiet in here. You just hear guys screaming, "We love you, Nimi!" And that was great. That was great, because that's what this season's going to be. It's going to be guys screaming, "We love you, Nimi."
It had many different octaves and levels of intoxication. Well, that does it for night one. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in. Jay and B-Rob will be back tomorrow with their thoughts on the first game, and then we'll get more podcasts to you over the weekend as the Celtics start a 3-game road trip going to New York, Detroit, and New Orleans. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of Still Poddable.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. The Boston Celtics still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh, yeah.
Go down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.